And welcome to the March 2nd, 2021 HSPB monthly meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Member Rosenau,
Here.
Member Nelson,
Present.
Member Kaiser,
Here.
Member Dixon,
Present.
Vice Chair Huff,
Here.
and Chair Burkett.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. May I have a report on the posting of the agenda, please?
Yes, the agenda for this meeting was posted for public review at the City Hall Bulletin Board on the west side of Council Chamber in accordance with established law.
Does the board have any revisions to the agenda?
No.
Then I would like to make a motion to accept the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So we have a first by Burkett and a second by Member Rosenau. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. So let's move on to public comments. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the Historic Site Preservation Board on agenda items and items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Although the Historic Site Preservation Board values your comments, pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. There will be 3 minutes assigned for each speaker. Testimony for public hearings will be taken at the time of the hearing, and tonight we have none. Staff, is there anyone wishing to speak at public comments?
Mr. Chair, we've not received any notice for anybody wishing to speak. I see we have some guests who have signed on to the meeting. If any of the guests are wanting to speak during public comment, would you please unmute yourself and let us know if you wish to speak? So nobody is interested in speaking. So it looks like no, we do not have any public comment for this evening.
Okay, then I will now close public comments and move to the consent calendar. Approval of the minutes, February 5th, 2021 HSPB meeting. Does anyone have changes to the minutes? Not? May I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the February 2nd minutes of the meeting.
Wonderful. So we have a motion. We have a motion by Member Huff and a second by Member Rosenau. I think it is. And,
No, Linda Dixon did.
Linda. Okay, Ms. Dixon. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 6-0. So the next item is public hearings. We have none. And after that is unfinished business. We have none tonight. So we'll move down to new business. Item 4A, Michael Horn, owner requesting historic site designation of the Crockett residence located at 590 West Linda Vista Drive. Board, are there questions of staff?
No.
No questions? Okay. May I have a motion to accept the recommendation by staff to receive the historic resources report and direct the staff to schedule site visits and a public hearing?
I'll move.
Oh, you can have it, Eric.
So we have a motion by Member Rosenau, and do I have a second?
Use me as a
I'll
second.
second.
Oh, you already got a second, Linda. So I get this.
That's fine. Somebody speak up.
Okay, so we have a first by Member Rosenau and a second by Member Kaiser. So any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Say aye. Those opposed? The motion carries 6-0.
And Mr. Chair, may I just ask, did all the board members receive the hard copy of this report through the US mail?
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. So now moving right along, we go on to discussion item 5A, Preservation Matters Symposium. That would be me.
Two.
Yes. So a few things to report along those lines. As soon as I can, which I had right here. We're still scheduled to go live 4/24. All recordings have been completed except for 2, and one of those is already scheduled. And so just one more that we have to schedule. So that's really coming along well. And actually, Richard and Deborah Hobel are already doing post-production editing and process. And they also are preparing what they call a sizzle, which we will be able to use in our marketing. And we're going to be creating a press release, and that information will be in that release as well to make it easy for all the organizations. And I think we have something like 20 different components, which will be sending the press release and the sizzle too. So it's just a short, it's like, I think about 2.5 minutes, but it really does help sell the event, and it sort of encompasses everything as a broad overview of what the event is already about. So it's meant to be a marketing piece. So very fortunately, we've located the 2019 attendee list, which will be used to help us market the event. It took a little bit of research, but we finally came up with it. So that's really a wonderful thing. A full marketing plan with timelines are in the process of preparation, and actually the subcommittee will be having a meeting most likely on March the 8th to finalize this and to really get this out to the different components so they can help us market. We're working with the IT department regarding the event being available on the city website and YouTube, which would provide an opportunity for the attendees to view on a large TV as an option versus a computer. And I know most of us are on the computer so much all day long that I think it will be a great relief to be able to sit, in a more comfortable area and to watch the event. And I know Ken Lyon is working with the IT staff on this, and we should have some answers. Particularly, there's a couple items that are going to be required for us to be able to put into the press release.
And Mr. Chair, there was one piece of information that I did get back from the director of IT. We'll be coordinating with the city manager to get approval to allow the symposium to be posted on the city's YouTube live stream channel. The other concern, when I mentioned to him that we were interested in doing an email blast, he said, be careful with the idea of an email blast. Technically, you cannot email blast a group of people that did not allow for this. That is the definition of spam. So I need to follow up more with him on this to see technically what we can and cannot do with respect to sending out email blasts.
Oh, wow.
Now, he's noted here, and again, I don't know what was done on the registration forms from 2019. He says on the registration, you may have emailed the group and give them an opportunity to opt in. This will allow you to email them without repercussions. So I need to follow up more with him on this, Dick, to really understand what this means.
Right.
And I'll try to do that tomorrow.
And it seems like, so it seems like there's an alternative here, an option of what we could do and still be
Potentially.
appropriate, right? Right. Ms. Dixon,
A question of Ken. What is the YouTube live channel? I
If
know
you
I'm
go-
showing my age, but what is the YouTube live channel?
If you go into YouTube
Uh-huh.
and you put into the search line, City of Palm Springs live stream, it will allow you to actually click on and go to the city's live stream channel. And on that channel, you will find all of the various board, commission, and committee meetings for the city. So when this meeting concludes, it is uploaded to the city's live stream channel, and anyone can watch those videos. So, when Flynn is working here behind the scenes over there where it says PSC TV, he's processing the working of getting this video recorded. And then once it's recorded, it's put up on that live stream channel.
And that's only available on your computer, or can you actually get that on your TV?
You can probably also get it on your TV if you have the ability to pull YouTube videos up.
And then Ken, would you then you would click on, look for Preservation Matters Symposium, and then that's what you would look for?
I think so, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Ken,
Do you have to have a smart TV or just any TV, as long as you've uploaded YouTube?
Mhm.
you're smart.
I don't know that question. I see
Mr.
Jade may know. He has got his hand raised.
I don't have a smart TV, but I have YouTube.
Okay.
So I have a 10-year-old television, but I am subscribed to YouTube.
Okay, and you get it on your TV?
Yes, I do.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Nelson,
Yeah, most of us have an iPhone, which is made by Apple. And I think most of us probably have either an iPad or a Macintosh Apple laptop, and there's something called Apple Play. So if you have a modern television, from the last 5 years, like a Samsung or Sony or any of those, there should be a way to link into Apple Play.
Okay.
Now, there has to be some software that you have in order to do it, but I've known people who've been able to go into their TV settings, and with their iPhone, they could pull up a video and play it through Apple TV. So that might be worth the subcommittee just investigating a little and giving some direction to the public about how they can bring that up on the TV so they can watch it in a larger format than a tiny little screen.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, I think that's really important. I think with all the information that's coming out about Zoom meetings and brain fatigue, and it's bothering people's eyes, and they're just really tired of Zoom meetings, I would hate to see you put this whole symposium together and people just don't want to be in another Zoom meeting.
so this would be more a live TV channel.
Well, I think that's really important, to be able to stress.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just so terribly important, but I agree with you. And I'm delighted, it looks like we'll probably be able to do that with the city site. But also, Ken, the other thing is, when you think about it, like we get a link to a particular event or a meeting. So I'm hoping, and that was a question that I sent to you this afternoon, if you would ask the IT, if there is a link that would not be activated until, the 24th, that people can also use to make it very simple. I agree with Linda. We need to do everything we can for the public to be able to access this without stress. Otherwise, we'll lose them off the bat.
And also, this will be just right after Modernism Week. And we don't want to be confused with Modernism Week. And I was saying we need to kind of have like a campaign of catch the second wave and join us and not have it, you know, confused with Modernism Week, because we'll all be loaded up.
Yeah.
Do we know if Modernism had a YouTube channel and did this exact exercise that we're trying to do?
No, they do everything at this point on Vimeo, and to be able to connect the Vimeo from your, let's say, a laptop or any device to your TV, it's a lot more involved.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been very disappointed about that with the virtuals that have happened with things like Modernism Week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, but maybe Jade's going to help us out with some more tech information here.
Question or suggestion possibly, maybe working with the Hubble, because I know Richard is pretty savvy about IT and all of this, that once you have your list of registered viewers for the symposium, maybe what you can do is work with Richard to say, you know, the day before, at this time, we will have a check-in, which will allow you to click on the presentation link. And so it's like a preview or a test. And so you're getting everyone, you know, clicked in, and they're able to kind of be pre-registered and able to figure out how they're going to watch it. So the next day, they're ready to go. So you don't have those technical issues the day of, because I know they do, or they have been doing similar things like that for award shows and you know, things like the Emmys and the Golden Globes and special live concerts on TV where they work with all of the viewers that they can to do a test run or a preview to make sure it goes off without any glitches when it goes out to the general public.
Yeah, actually, they are going to be interfacing with the IT department on this. So once that Ken gets in certain information for us, then we can have the two of them to work, you know, to get the Richard to work with the IT department if there's anything to refine. So, you know, so I'm glad we're having this discussion because I think all of these are very good pointers, and it will enhance the experience for our attendees and viewers, because what's important is that we retain the momentum that we've built over the years, so that when we go live, with fingers crossed, in 2022, again, then, you know, we've still got our audience. And we've really built on that audience from the previous years. And that's why it's just crucial that we're able to reach out to, in some way, to that group, which is the way we've been promoting. I mean, it's just amazing. Yes, Ms. Dixon.
Have we, or have you worked with IT to determine if we will be able to track how many people actually click on to each lecture?
That's yeah, go ahead.
A question that I had asked of them, and I got kind of an obtuse answer back, which I really can't quite characterize, but I'm going to follow up more fully with them to find out. I know that when you have you can look when you happen to watch a YouTube video or something like that, it'll identify the number of times that it's been viewed.
Right.
However, you know, if I view a video once and then 2 days later I view it again, I believe that counts as 2 separate watches. And so it somewhat is not accurate fully, of course, of the total count. But I need to have more conversation with Aaron Brown in the IT department.
And
Do we
again,
know-
there might, go ahead, Linda.
Do we know if Modernism tracked the people who are listening to their lectures?
Yes, they do, definitely.
Well,
And
they sell tickets, so, you're
Right.
registered and I might
yeah,
buy 6
I understand
tickets.
that,
Yeah.
but I'm curious as to how many buy a ticket and actually sit through a lecture.
Yeah,
You know,
they do capture that, Linda.
they do capture that.
Yeah, they do, because, on our Architectural Alliance, we've had 2 different conferences now with them, and we get reports just about every week as to how many are sold and watched.
And are they pleased with the ticket sales for lectures?
Yeah, they've expressed this to us. Yeah, and because, we get that count, and then we also see the success of the event. So, it makes it like, because we want to again gauge, is it worth it? To doing this on a virtual basis. We know it is for live. We've already proved that to ourselves. But yeah, absolutely.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Nelson.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, how is this being presented? Is it being done through Zoom?
No, that's, again, we're going to have to get with the IT department to see how that's going to be done. And that's where Richard Hubble will,
The reason I ask is because people with a regular Zoom account can only see up to 100 participants. And I don't know how many people are going to sign up, but if it comes to a point in your event when you're going to have a Q&A, and people will come up on the screen and there'll be questions, and some people will want to see the faces of the presenters and likewise the faces of the people asking questions if you do have a Q&A session. And if people don't have a Zoom premium account, then they won't see anything over 100 people. I just wanted to make sure you knew that.
No, we don't really plan on having questions. We've never really done that. Our event, we found what happens is we sort of lose attention from people because there is the, can everybody hear the question? And then it just, I'm not a big proponent of questions in large events. I've experienced it at the museum many, many times. And I think it really can be distracting. So this is now when we have something, smaller workshops, then I think that's effective and I think it works. But when you're having, a large, when you're having an event that's going to appeal to a lot of people, we've had, like at our events, we typically have 400 people now. So then it gets very unwieldy.
Mm-hmm. And we have over 20 presenters, that are presenting, 15 to 20 minutes each. And so we have kind of a really tight schedule with, the introductions and the thank yous. And so it's, it's meant to move along quite quickly so that we don't lose our audience and we can keep them, wanting more and more. And as Ken said, our objective probably is to do that live stream channel on YouTube. So it's just like watching anything else on YouTube, and you just hundreds of people can do it. So that's what we're hoping for.
Great.
Okay, anything else, Ken, that you have pretty much a summary of what the questions are? Okay.
Pretty much covered it, yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it for the report on preservation matters. And it's now time to move to board comments. So board, anyone have any comments for tonight?
Not I.
Okay, if not, I have a few.
I have one thing.
Good, go right ahead.
If you could, I know you're more involved with Modernism Week than I am, but if at the end of the day, with the March and October or February and October Modernism Week, if you could at least give us your impressions with how successful this has been on a virtual basis and what has worked and what is not, I think that that would help a lot of us in looking at this for, say, the fall. Hopefully by spring, we can do more live things.
Right.
But Modernism will have more information than anybody else, but I have found them to be very opaque.
Yeah. Yeah, I think unless you're directly involved, like you're one of their presenters with the program, that is probably too. But based upon the information that we have and the tickets that were sold, which is what we gauge by with Modernism Week, I can just report without giving any numbers, because I don't think I should do that, that we're extremely happy. And actually, we were kind of surprised in a way, because we didn't really know what to expect. But I think people are, sort of conditioned to this format now, as, we've been forced into it. And so I think that, and that's the only barometer I can give you, from a personal standpoint, and say that we're really quite happy. Catherine, can you add something to that?
Yes, I can. I've heard from, Modernism group that people didn't want it to end. It was supposed to end, February 28th, and it's like February was a busy month, and people were, eager to participate and join in on the meetings. So they extended it for 2 weeks, and so more sales and more participation. And so I've heard that it's very successful, and that's why they extended it. So I'm sure by the end of the extended period, maybe we could get a report from Modernism and ask them, what their feedback, has been and how successful, to share that with us once they get all their stats in.
Great.
And I will know a little bit more about that too for the February event, sometime probably towards the end of March, it may be, to see how that, to see how our conference is ending up for Architectural Alliance. But I can, at this point, we're very, very happy, and now it's been extended. So we're hoping that there will be even more viewers at that point. Yeah, Linda.
I think Catherine's idea is a great one, and I would like to see numbers broken down by lectures versus house tours and things. A lecture where you have someone speaking versus a house tour where you're going to be seeing things and you're going from room to room. I would like to see a breakdown of each.
I can see, I don't know if we'll be able to get that or not, but
Okay.
I'm only involved with the lectures and presentation part, because we're not doing a tour for Architectural Alliance, but it never hurts to ask. So maybe we, between the two of us,
For a report, and to share with us.
Because I think there's a big difference between watching someone go from room to room and talk about the couch or the furniture and the paintings and everything, and a big difference when you sit and you watch someone just talk.
right.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely there is. There's no question about that. That's true. We do have a tour, a virtual tour, actually, by the way, of course, as part of our event. And that's going to be very interesting, and that'll also break things up, along with a couple of very cool modern Mod with a Twist
Mhm.
events.
And,
Uh,
and the short films, the short clips, short films, films
Yeah.
like on the Cornelia White House.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a
Good.
good rhythm. I think we'll keep the interest, maybe not in one sitting, but reoccurring kind of visits a little bit at a time, because there's a good mix of a variety, and we're keeping it moving.
Yeah, it is. It's going to move. The Hubbles do move things, believe me. That's for sure. Yes, Jade.
Oh, not to change the topic, but one board member comment.
Good.
A member of the community came to me recently asking about a building that she saw boarded up. And it is 577 East Sunny Dunes, which is on the block across from the old Builder's Supply, kind of in between there and County Bagels on the south side. And it's two buildings, one of which is smaller, detached in the front facing Sunny Dunes, and the other is an L shape in the back behind the parking lot. And it was built and designed by Howard and Lawrence Lapham. And it was the site of the Lapham architectural offices and firm. Bones and Scones was the occupant of the small detached building facing Sunny Dunes, and it's been empty for quite some time now. So she sent me some pictures of the place all boarded up because I hadn't driven by there recently. So I asked Ken about it, and he said that, well, I asked Ken because it's not on the class 3 list, which was surprising to me. So that makes it class 4 because it was built prior to 1978. And he said that a cannabis dispensary had applied for a permit there, and city council either delayed approval of the permit or something. In any case, it hasn't been allowed to move forward. I don't know what's happening or why it's in limbo or if it's ever going to be approved. But this brings up an issue for me where I believe that we as a board could be doing more with DPR forms, where we fill out the form to nominate buildings that we're aware by important local architects that are not on the class 3 list. As long as I've been here for 40 years, that building has never had major exterior modification, and it still hasn't. So I think now would be the time to get a DPR form completed and see if we can possibly get it onto a class 3 list. I personally think it would qualify. I'm not sure what research or documentation we would have to provide along with the DPR form to justify it being moved to a class 3. But I think it's worth investigating because I know there are other buildings prior to 1978 that are not on a class 3 list, and we're going to lose them if permits come forward and we're kind of left in the dark. So maybe Ken can shed some more light on that in his comments. And if any of you know anything about other buildings or that building, I do know that the HSPB, when it was first created for many years, or several years at least, was tasked with the responsibility of filling out DPR forms. Because obviously this was prior to any major surveys and prior to, the excellent historic organization that we have at City Hall now, especially with having an HPO and an amazing ordinance and all of the stuff that we have to support our board. But back then they didn't have that, so that's why they had to create all of the DPR forms to get these properties noticed. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Ken and I have been talking about this a bit, and that they're to have a training program on the forms after we get the new board members that are coming in, most likely in April, so that at that time, after they are there for a month or two, then a training program. But I'll let see if Ken has any more that he would like to talk about that. Or Is that pretty much it?
First of all, in answer to Jane's question, I don't have more information about that particular applicant that is proposed to be moving into that building. So what Jade has shared is about what I also know about that particular cannabis application. And yes, I think that once we get the new members seated, whenever that might be, that it would be a helpful thing. I can do a little tutorial on how the DPR forms work and how to fill them out.
That would be excellent. So I think that would, address, your concerns, Jade. And so that training, I think, just make everybody on the board feel more comfortable in having that. Okay. Anybody else before I make a few comments? Okay. I just wanted to report that the ideas or interview questions that we all participated in have been submitted to council. And in reference to interviews for new board members, the council has reviewed the applications and they have narrowed it down to 7. And the assistant to council is working on scheduling dates for the interviews, working with the council's schedule. So it gets a little bit complex. But the anticipation is that these would be this month in March. So we very well may have new board replacements as of the April meeting, but it just all depends upon the scheduling of those interviews. But at least that's our anticipation. So that's the latest update on that. I would also like to express my appreciation to staff by sending us updates regarding decisions made at the HPO level for alterations of properties, because we received 2 recently. Because each of us from time to time get inquiries from the residents as to, hey, I saw this happening, I saw some construction, I saw something boarded up, and it really sort of nips in the bud in the beginning if we have an idea about what is going on and the fact that that is in the hands of the HPO. And because otherwise it starts circulating all over social media, and it can go sideways when it really doesn't have to. So those really help. I really express my appreciation for that. I think it's going to really help the board going forward. And then the last thing I want to report about the benches and the receptacles that were painted by the Arts Commission. They have not yet been removed. So I contacted the chair again, and really good news is that they are on the to-do list to be removed by city staff as soon as the personnel is available. They've been hit pretty hard from a staff standpoint due to COVID and having to quarantine several of the members, so they're a bit short-staffed. But just so that you know, again, in case you are asked by others in the community, that they are definitely scheduled, and just hang tight and it's going to happen. So that is the end of my report. Linda?
Mr. Chair, could you tell us again who is termed out?
Yes. Me? I'm the only one. And the fact that Bill Lavoie was never replaced,
right?
Because now we've been working with 6. So those are there are 2 positions that are available.
And am I termed out this year?
I think yours, if I remember correctly, is in June. So just right after that.
And I'm the only one in June.
I think you're the only one. I could go back and check, but I think you're the only one. Okay.
I show on my list, Catherine terms out on June 30th of 2021. Linda terms out then. And Mr. Chair, you of course term out, and then it is the vacant position being filled by, that used to be occupied by Bill Lavoy.
But Ken, I don't think that in the case of Catherine, isn't that just up for renewal rather than terming out?
Possibly, yes, that's possible. I don't have the information.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
But this is your first term, isn't it, Catherine?
Yes.
Yeah, so she can run a second term.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Nelson.
Yeah, every year, city staff, or at least Joanne, would send the HSP board member that list, who's on the board, when they came on and when they come out. So I would imagine when we get these 2 new appointees, that a new list will go out showing everybody's dates and so forth, because that's helpful for us to know. Sometimes we forget, or we want to get prepared to reapply, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, good point. Okay, I think that concludes the board comments, and we'll move to staff comments.
Just a couple of things. Jade had asked me, and I wanted to convey to everybody, if you hadn't been aware of it, that the city council did designate the Racket Club as a Class 3 property. So if you have any questions on that, please let me know. Also, at the last city council meeting, the Sutter residence was granted Class 2 historic merit status as well. Dick mentioned the notion of doing some training on DPR forms once we get the new members on board, and I'm ready to do that. We also do orientation for new members, which helps a little bit with understanding the ordinances and sort of the working parts, so to speak. The other thing that's kind of on a more sobering note, I think I shared with you that former member Vincent Marsh passed away. He passed away of complications of diabetes and some other health problems, and he passed away quietly in his sleep. And I was reflecting back, and I realized this is the third HSPB member during my tenure here at the city, the past 16 years, that has passed. We also lost Bud Riley, if you remember him, and Patrick McGrew. So I just want to share that with you all. And, you know, life is short. Make sure that you always, you know, be grateful for every day you have. And we certainly are grateful here at the city for everyone's contribution that participates on this board and the other boards. So I just wanted to mention that as well. On other news in general, you know, I have, as you mentioned, Dick, I forwarded a couple of actions that I've taken at a staff level as HPO. And those are, you know, as I get those types of things, I will try to communicate those so that you are aware. On an ongoing basis, there are small projects involving things like window replacements on Class 4 buildings that I process on a regular basis. And I don't report on those because they're really quite insignificant. But where there's something that's going on that may, you know, raise questions in the community, I'm trying to get those communiques out to you. I think that's it. We've had a few more Mills Act contracts coming in, so that's kind of on a regular basis. And I've got a few more markers that I'm backlogged on as far as historic markers for the various sites. And other than that, you know, we have our your work plan that I have not been able to take a bite out of yet. But it's not lost on me that it's out there. So I'm hoping as I can kind of get my head above water, I can begin moving forward on some of those things. So I will let you know as my resources become more available to do so. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nelson.
Yeah, it's a question for Ken or staff. One thing that's been bothering me that I meant to bring up before in my comment was this issue of properties that are on the class 3 list that are not designated class 1. For example, the House of Tomorrow, the Elvis Honeymoon Hideaway. That used to be multiple parcels, and it has since been split up. And the one behind it sold. Something is being built there now by Lance O'Donnell. It faces Rose Avenue, but it backs up to the House of Tomorrow, and the sense of place is being lost. So the integrity of the setting is being lost because the view is going away, the open space is going away, and there's another lot next to the house that fronts on a Brigo Road that has a tennis court, and that's currently for sale. So my concern and frustration here is that we have a property that should be a class 1 site that is extremely important. I mean, it belonged to the Alexanders, who own the Alexander Construction Company. It was designed by William Chrysler, as you all know, I'm sure. So I worry about, you know, the integrity of setting and the cumulative impact of these properties directly around this significant resource being sold and then developed. And I'm just wondering what protection does something like that have if it's not a class 1 or class 2, even though it's on the class 3 list and it's clearly the work of a master and it's a significant home and, you know, it's historical by a celebrity and by the owner of a construction firm and by an architect. So, I mean, it would easily qualify for class 1, and I have no doubt council would probably, you know, approve that. So can staff maybe clarify for me what can you do in situations like that?
Well, once there is a property that is subdivided and parcels are split off, you know, the parcel becomes an individual parcel upon which development may occur. When it comes to looking at these kinds of things under CEQA, the threshold in terms of what is considered materially impairing the historic resource is that kind of action that would actually diminish, destroy, remove, or alter those character-defining features that contribute to its historic significance. In the case of something like the Elvis, the House of Tomorrow that you're mentioning on Ladera Circle, since the home has never been designated other than class 3, and the subdivision of land would not necessarily materially impair the historic character-defining features of it, those types of development in most cases would move forward with either a categorical exemption under CEQA or as no other type of CEQA analysis that would be required. So it's a tough one that you have to sort of struggle with. There's only so much time in the day and in the year to get things moved forward to council. You know, and that's why, you know, your work plan is important, that, you know, you can't just rely on individual property owners to submit their designations, although you've been getting a pretty steady stream of them for the past few years, which is very fortunate. But that's really the limitations that exist out there on that kind of thing.
Did we put that house on the work plan for this year?
Did you? Is that what you asked me? I'm sorry.
I was asking if the House of Tomorrow was on our work plan for.
No, it's not.
No.
Interesting. Well, I would advise one of the local organizations, of which some of us are members, to really kind of consider that. I know that Mark Sanders, who restored the Frank Sinatra house and is a realtor, he brought the buyer for the House of Tomorrow supposedly they are doing a restoration to sell. So I hate to use the term fix and flip, but it's going to be apparently a higher end one of those cases. So my concern is that, they'll do that and then they'll sell it and it won't be protected. So it just seems like a can of worms that we somehow could put a lid on, and I'll just leave it at that.
And, I'll share with the board also, from time to time, I receive phone calls from people who are buying and selling property, or realtors who are representing properties, wondering, what can we do with this property? An example that came up recently, and Jade mentions Howard Lapham, there is an enormous Howard Lapham home that's on the north side of Ruth Hardy Park. You kind of would notice it because it's got a very nice rock wall, and then there's this sort of projecting white roof plane that kind of goes over the rock wall, and that's kind of all you see. Well, the individual called me on it and he said, "What's the story on this?" And I said, "Well, what's the address?" And he gave it to me, and I looked it up on the Class 3 list, and it wasn't listed. And I said, you're very fortunate. This is basically my encouragement for those kinds of callers. I said, you're very unfortunate. You actually have a pretty unique property here, designed by a local architect of some notoriety. And it might be something that if you do move forward with the purchase of it, that you might want to look at getting it designated, because then you could apply for a Mills Act contract and possibly see, a little bit of relief on your property taxes. And the person was very interested in it, and he thanked me for the information. And it turned out, as he gave me his email address, and I forwarded him information about designations and Class 1 and all that other stuff. So, there's lots and lots of properties that are out there that are worthy of designation. And, over time, hopefully many of these very important ones will eventually be designated. It's a process.
Yeah, I know the house. That's 980 East Katrina. And I believe the Architecture and Design Council of the Pumpkins Art Museum had an event there.
Yes.
Catherine Huff was there and she spoke. And I believe Dick was there as well. And
I was,
it is
yeah.
an incredible house. And they have recently sold it. So it does have a new owner. Most of the furniture they had was from Arthur Orwell's original house in La Palma, and it's now at Modern Way for sale.
And it was the Idelson house, Nancy Idelson house.
Exactly. So I hope whoever owns it now, maybe we should approach them about, Class 1 nomination.
We'll see. He was, I think, in the process of going into escrow on it. So I was trying to,
Encourage.
yeah.
Okay, gang, this has been a very interesting evening. And I think we got a lot of good points out there as we went along. But it is also time for adjournment. So the Historic Site Preservation Board will adjourn to its regularly scheduled meeting on Tuesday, April 6, 2021 at 5:30. And I wish you all a great week with this fabulous weather. So be safe.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you.
Okay, bye everybody.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.